Okay, this video is going to be on the Crotales. The Crotales are the least commonly called for mallet instrument, but they're also one of the most unique. They have a range very similar to the glockenspiel. Typically, they will come either arranged in octaves, like I'll show you here, or they'll come arranged as a set that is 2 octaves long. They're traditionally notated from middle C to 2 octaves above. So middle C to top of the treble clef C, and then they transpose at 2 octaves, so they're the same pitch as the glockenspiel. So what the Crotales are a series of tuned bronze discs laid out in typical keyboard fashion, with the low C here, and you move up the octave, and then the high C as you move up, so you can see that the discs get smaller as you go. Again, these are arranged in octaves, but you can find them arranged as a full set as well. These are fairly unusual and rather expensive instruments. Nevertheless, they are being called for more and more in modern literature. Like the glockenspiel, you will typically play them either with small brass mallets or with hard plastic mallets. Now the biggest difference between the Crotales and the glockenspiel is the Crotales have an incredibly complex overtone structure and a very, very long sustain. So it will usually be necessary after playing notes to mute them with your fingers as well. Or if you need to mute everything all at once, you can throw a big black towel on there. So I'll just hit one note here so you can hear how long these ring. I'll go ahead and mute it, right? But you get a significant amount of decay. But again, they're tuned, so they have discrete pitches, and you can play things like scales and other passages on them. I'll play very, very lightly so the overtones don't wash everything out. Right, lots of sustain, so you have to be really careful about what you're playing. Again, you'll hit them with hard plastic mallets. Or with small brass mallets. And again, because they have to be muted, you're going to get your fingerprints on them, and they'll get gunked up just like cymbals will. They're made out of more or less the same alloy as cymbals, except tuned. So it would be very unusual to play a roll on the Crotales. It's not a good instrument for rolling. Nor would it be very usual to hit it with a yarn or even a hard vibraphone mallet. So I have a hard mallet here, but you'll be able to hear. It's a lot of frame noise and not a lot of the tone of the instrument. So even though right here on top of this, to me, this sounds fairly warm and lush and interesting, out in the hall, you're not really going to hear it, and all you're going to hear is a lot of the frame noise. The other thing that you can do with Crotales very frequently is you can bow them, as I will show you in another video. And so I'll show you the technique for that. It's the exact same as the way that you would bow a vibraphone or any other bowable instrument. Again, they come in octaves. Some pieces only necessitate the notes in a single octave. Some of them necessitate either the low octave or the high octave. Some of them necessitate notes in both octaves, and you have to have both. If you're in a situation where you need these and you can't either rent them or have access to them, you can always substitute the part on a glockenspiel, or you can play in the top octave of the vibraphone with very, very hard plastic mallets played very, very gently. That'll give you a sound that's sort of analogous to this. The other name that you might see Crotales labeled as in a score is antique cymbals. So if you see a score, especially in anywhere from the 50s through the 90s, that calls for antique cymbals, this is the instrument they're talking about. This is actually a modern development of a very ancient instrument from ancient Greece and Egypt. So Very, very old instrument in concept, but this is the new tuned chromatic version of it. And so we have 2 chromatic octaves of Crotales available. All right.